This video looks at the idea of moles. So when we use moles, it's a technique that chemists use to count things by weight. You will normally get given the formula of a compound. So for example, carbon dioxide, which we've seen previously, has an MR of 44. It will then also give you the amount of mass of that substance that we have. So we might have 88 grams of that compound. To calculate the number of moles, we simply do the mass in grams divided by the relative formula mass. So in this instance, if we have a mass of 88 grams, we simply do 88 over 44, and that is 2 moles. And we just use MOL for short, which is short for moles. We can make this a little bit more complicated by trying to figure out the number of actual particles that would exist in these 2 moles. We do that by multiplying the number of moles we've just calculated by something called Avogadro's number. This is the number of particles that you'll have in 1 mole, in the same way that a pair means 2 particles, a dozen means 12 particles, a mole just means 6.02 times 10 to the 23 of whatever particle you're talking about. So in this instance, we'd like to know how many particles of carbon dioxide we have. So we'd simply do the number of moles, which was just calculated there, multiplied by Avogadro's number, which is 6.02 times 10 to the 23. If we were to type that into our calculator, that would give us 1.204 times 10 to the 24 particles. We'll do one more example of that, maybe slightly more complicated. So we'll start off from first principles with let's say H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid, and we'll say we'll work out the relative formula mass first. So to do that, we know we've got hydrogen, and there are 2 of those. Each one has a mass of 1. That's 2 in total. Sulfur, if we use our periodic table, we see that has a mass of 32. There is only 1 sulfur in this compound, so that is times by 1, gives us 32. Finally, we've got oxygen, which has a mass of 16. That's got a subscript 4 attached to it, so that's multiplied by 4, which should give us 64. Add all those together, gives us a relative formula mass of 98. So let's say we wanted to work out the number of particles in, let's go for 48 grams. Again, these numbers are likely to be given to you in the question. We'll first work out the number of moles. So number of moles is the mass in grams over the relative formula mass, which was 48 over 98. I'll use a calculator to be certain here. Gives us 0.49, rounded to 2 decimal places, so 0.49 moles. Moving on to the number of particles. If we wanted to know the number of particles, we would simply use N, which is the number of particles, is equal to the number of moles times Avogadro's number, which was 0.49 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23. And again, I'll type that into my calculator. Gives me 2.95 times 10 to the 23.